First on CBS This Morning, best-selling author John Grisham is sharing some big news about the new sequel to his debut book, You Remember a Time to Kill. And not only that, he's also releasing a new novel. It's called Camino Winds. I happen to have a copy right here. It's the follow-up to Grisham's 2017 bestseller that was called Camino Island. The new book tells the story of what happens when a hurricane and a killer both threaten a beautiful island. John Grisham joins us from his home in Charlottesville, Virginia. There he is. Good morning to you, John Grisham. I want to start right away with this book because it's a bit of a departure for you. I'm not giving anything away because it's in all the literature. You're an author, and you write about killing off an author. And that struck me because I'm thinking if I wrote a book about TV anchors, I wouldn't kill off Anthony and Tony. You threw me a little bit with that. Why'd you decide to go that way?
Well, good morning, Gail, Tony, Anthony.
Hi.
It's a sequel to Camino Island that I published 3 years ago. And when I finished that book, I knew I would go back there for at least one or two stories because I liked the setting, I liked the characters. And over the years, I've killed off a lot of lawyers and judges. I thought it was time to kill off a writer. And a TV anchor might be next. You never know.
But I just don't think of people of killing off one of their own, though, John. That's what I was thinking. The New York Times book review says this. It's a Camino. This is a Camino book with elements of a more traditional Grisham thriller thrown in. So what did you enjoy about stepping into the murder genre in this way?
It's a pure murder mystery. We all love murder mysteries, and I haven't written one of those in a long time. Usually when I write about a murder, you know who did it right off the bat, and they go to trial. But this was a pure mystery, and I wanted to drop clues along the way and solve the crime at the very end. So that's what a good mystery does.
And it's centered around a bookstore, too. I know books are very important to you, and bookstores, too.
Yeah, the principal character, Bruce Cable, from the first Camino book, owns a bookstore on Camino Island in the town of Santa Rosa in Florida. And he's quite a character. He is colorful and reads a lot of books, sells a lot of books. And the guy who gets murdered is one of his friends. It happens in the middle of a hurricane. The police are too distracted to investigate the crime. So Bruce sort of takes it upon himself and a couple of buddies, and they set out to solve the crime and prove it was a crime. And they're kind of like grown-up Hardy Boys off, chasing a killer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it. Let's go back to 1989 for a second, John, because guess what I read back in 1989? The name of the book was?
Well, A Time to Kill was published in 1989, but nobody read it back then. It was a total flop when it came out. It wasn't until The Firm came out 2 years later, and then the Pelican Brief and the Client, that people really started reading A Time to Kill. So it's the best-selling book of all of them by now, but I've gone back 7 years ago. I went back to Ford County with Jake Brigance and a book called Sycamore Row, and that was very popular. And so now I'm going back this fall with a book called A Time for Mercy that involves Jake back in the courtroom again in Ford County.
And Jake was played on screen by Matthew McConaughey. We all remember that movie very well. I want to go back to Camino for a second because on page 106 it says, it takes a disaster to make you appreciate the basics. So I'm wondering what you're appreciating these days. I love that line.
You appreciate the basics. You appreciate your friends and family. You appreciate, I appreciate books. I appreciate health. And Renee and I were talking this morning. You appreciate the things that remind you of what's normal, like the people you trust. And, we were talking about you guys there, the three of y'all. We watch you every morning, and it's nice to have people you trust deliver the news that you can believe each morning. And so it's, for you guys, it's something that's normal for us, and it means a lot.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because we are really glad to be here. I think it's draining and emotionally very difficult, but all of us wouldn't want to be any other place. And you talk about appreciating friends. Last night, you and Stephen King, who's a friend, had a virtual event. What was it? Why did you do it? How did it go, rather, and why did you do it?
We did it because we we know each other very well. We've been on stage several times together for fundraisers and library functions and, different things. And we always have a great time together because our friendship goes back 25 years. And we decided to do a virtual chat last night on YouTube and for a whole hour, just the two of us, and ask each other questions and take questions from the audience. And, as always, the hour flies by. We have a great time talking about books and writing and movies and the process of writing and taking questions and baseball and families and everything. It was a lot of fun. I hope we do it again.
I know, John. I'm so sorry we couldn't see you in person next time because I know we will see you again at our table. We all can't wait. Thank you, John Grisham. Thank you very much.
Thank you. About my coffee cup.
I'm holding it up,
Can we get
John.
a coffee cup this year? Can you?
Yes.
Do I get a coffee cup this year?
In the mail.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, you do. Whatever you want, Mr. Grisham.
Good.
Whatever you want.
Take care. Be safe.
I'm nuts about him. Thank you, John Grisham. Thank you. You too.